Broadcasting from the basement of La Penta, this is WICR.
Hello, Iona College. We are back here with Lights Out Sports. I'm your host, Rob Buncardo, and we are off to our NBA segment. And guys, starting off, so far the NBA season has looked pretty good. We have had a couple of uprising stars, but I think we've had a couple of teams that have just been miserably this year. And first team we're going to start off with, the Brooklyn Nets, now 0-7. Now, guys, we look a couple years back, the Brooklyn Nets at the trade deadline, getting Darren Williams, then building their franchise around Joe Johnson, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. Just all failed experiments. And now you don't have Paul Pierce, you don't have Kevin Garnett, you don't have Darren Williams, you just have Joe Johnson and a bunch of young players. You still have Brook Lopez, who's been putting in a lot of work. But this Brooklyn Nets team is back to what the New Jersey Nets were a couple years ago.
Whoa. What New Jersey Nets team are you talking about here, Robert?
He's talking before they became.
What are you talking about? You talking about the Vince Carter, Jason Kidd era?
No, talking about Vince Carter.
Because I was about to say, Robert, I'm going to come over there.
Okay, can I ask you a question? A few years ago, Vince Carter wasn't there a few years ago. Vince Carter was there in like 05, 06.
No, Vince Carter was there from 04 to 08. Left in 09, so get your facts.
Well, obviously, Rob's not talking about that era. He's talking about.
I hope you're talking about the Devin Harris era.
He's talking about
the Devin Harris era. Probably the worst era in Nets history.
He's talking about the year before they became Brooklyn. Literally that exact year before they became.
So he's talking about between 2009 to 2011. 11? Those 3 years.
Yeah.
The year, but then they win 13 games or something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But still.
But do you guys feel that it falls on the ownership or general manager? Because we've looked at the moves that the general manager has made the last couple of years. Obviously, with the Garnett and Pierce trade, trading away so many first-round picks in that trade.
I think it's the general manager, not the ownership.
They don't really have any. First off, I didn't even want to talk about the segment anyway because it's the Brooklyn Nets. That's one
Terrence,
opinion.
you have to recognize each team in the NBA. Terrence.
Okay, but it's the. Looking at the Nets team, Brook Lopez, who's their next star? Joe Johnson.
Jared Jack.
An aging Joe Johnson. And you have an aging Joe Johnson who's on his way out.
Joe Johnson's never showed up for the Nets.
I mean, he had 20,
ever since he came here.
Joe Johnson wasn't the guy in Atlanta who used to be able to drop 24 points a game.
He's an overpaid shooting guard who shouldn't even be getting paid that amount because he's not even all
He's
that
like Kobe
great.
Bryant.
Whoa.
Well, right now, Kobe Bryant, the money he's making right now.
Compare Joe Johnson to Kobe Bryant.
No, I'm saying now, it's salary-wise this season.
Okay, yeah. In general,
and that's true. And you can't say that's not true.
Whole year in the NBA.
That's a Sean. That's a Sean.
But Joe Johnson, the whole year in the NBA, even when he was with the Hawks, he was still overpaid though. I'm like, he definitely shouldn't be deserving this amount. But just looking at this Nets team though, who you really have though to step up? You have Brook Lopez. You have Jared. You have an aging Joe Johnson, like I said. Jared Jack, Thaddeus Young, Bogdanovich. I think I pronounced that right. I don't know actually, but
Thaddeus Young.
But their bench is terrible. The whole team is just not good. Let's just go with that.
So
what about Hollis Jefferson? You don't think he could be,
he's a
future rising star?
He's a future rising star.
He's getting 5 assists a game, putting in decent work. Got moved.
Who's the other guy? Isn't there another guy in the Nets who got injured? Well, no, he tore his ACL in college. Played for Syracuse.
Shane. Wait, that's not Shane, right?
He's on the team. They drafted him, and
I know who you're talking about.
He played for Syracuse. He's supposed to be really good.
Did Wayne Ellington play for Syracuse?
No, it's not Wayne Ellington. They drafted him this year with Hollis Jefferson. Yo, Google it, Rob.
I actually don't know who Armand's talking about.
How you guys you're talking about the Brooklyn Nets? You don't know the kid's name.
We're talking about the Brooklyn
It
Nets.
does matter because he's the future, Robert.
Yeah, the future. The future for the Brooklyn Nets will be 7 years from now when their ownership is finally gone because their owner has no idea what he's doing.
You know how bad the Brooklyn Nets are? The Brooklyn Nets are so bad that even in my 2K, I'm with the Nets. It's so bad, I'm requesting a trade. I'm not joking. I'm averaging 24 points per game. You know who the second highest player is averaging the most? Brook Lopez with 9.8. I'm like, no, I'm leaving. I can't. I'm leaving. The Brooklyn Nets they're bad in real life. They're bad in virtual gameplay. They're just bad in general.
Armand, the question is for Terrence, is he gonna do the whole thing? Is he gonna have a whole assembly for himself? I'm gonna be traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers to play alongside LeBron James.
They actually offered me.
I'm pretty sure the guy is his name CJ McCullough. No, CJ McCullough's on Portland. It's something like that though. Now this is irking me, Rob. You have a laptop there. You can't just look it up.
No,
No,
It
because
take
it's not
you
that
10
important.
we're
It's not
on air
important.
talking.
Because it's not important, one.
It is important. The
No,
kid's
it's
gonna
not.
be good.
Is he
It's the
playing?
Nets.
Is he playing? No.
You know what, Robert? You
First
know,
off,
now
So
you're-
he serves no importance.
First off, there's no
to this team.
importance because one, the Nets are still 0-7. He's not a big factor for that
he
team.
is going to be a big factor.
But he's not a big
Sean
factor.
Edwards of the NBA.
But he's not a big factor though. They're still 0-7. They haven't won a game yet. They're facing Houston next. They're gonna lose that game too.
Other teams that are bad, Terrence and Armand, the New Orleans Pelicans now 0-6. What has gone wrong? Last year,
Overrated.
yes, they are overrated. Last year, me and Armand said it. They made the playoffs. They were lucky to make it. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, you predicted that
his
last
name was
year."
Chris McCullough.
Chris McCullough. Okay.
Okay, whatever.
But Anthony Davis has his last 2 games have been great, but we haven't been seeing the guy who is almost in that MVP race, who almost finished out.
Can I tell you what Anthony Davis is?
What?
He's just gonna be like another Kevin Love. He's gonna be dropping buckets, getting all these stats and everything, but he's never gonna make the playoffs.
First
he
off-
made it last year, but he's never gonna make it again.
But the Pelicans team is way better than what the Timberwolves have.
But
though.
I'm just saying, he's never gonna make it again.
But it's the fact that the Pelicans have
Unless he leaves.
Who's around Anthony Davis though? That's really.
He's got good players around him.
But that's not
I
stepping-
honestly
that's not stepping-
thought.
that's
I
not
thought.
stepping
Are
up,
you kidding
though.
me? This is a playoff caliber team. They have Tyreek Evans,
That's not stepping up. If you look at the team so
Drew
far.
Holiday. If he,
He's still.
comes back to his old self. Ryan Anderson's a very good ball player.
No, Ryan Anderson. He's actually
That
been
guy
doing
is
great.
good.
Eric Gordon,
Eric Gordon's not.
he's very
They have
He's very
players.
streaky. They have players, but they're just not stepping up though. Eric Gordon is very streaky.
Tyreek Evans hasn't been himself since Sacramento days, like his rookie
Well,
of the
he was
year.
really good
hasn't
last year.
been- He hasn't really been tearing it up, though, as a lot of us expected he would, though. Especially with this Pelicans team. When I saw the moves made, when I saw Tyreek Evans coming here, Drew Holiday, you had Eric Gordon, and then you had Davis, you had Ryan Anderson all together. I honestly thought this was a solid 5 starting right out there, and that they should be instantly able to make the playoffs. But they just don't click whatsoever. And I don't know what it is. All these guys have or have had elite talent, but it's just they don't mix and match together. And it comes down to the point. You bring in Alvin Gentry. One move I really did not like this offseason. You know what? His goal was make Anthony Davis an outside shooter.
He was always a bad coach, even in his Phoenix days.
You could have brought in Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy, the man who coached the Knicks, who coached Patrick Ewing, who coached one of the best defensive teams
He
in
also
the 90s.
coached Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming.
Oh my gosh.
But I
Vince
mean,
Carter's cousin.
it comes down to that. Imagine they would have brought in Van Gundy. The work he could have done around Anthony Davis, build it the way the Knicks had it. Build around Ewing, score around Davis. You can't make Anthony Davis an outside shooter. That just doesn't work. He's a center, and he shouldn't be out there whatsoever.
Rob,
He should be a guy dominating in the paint.
He's not even that effective of a shooter.
But Rob, the
He'd
only
be
thing-
better posting up.
And the only thing I have with Rob's
shooter.
only thing I have with Rob's comment right there is the fact that back then it was a different era of basketball where basically all the big men were just dominant players.
Yeah.
And they focus morely around the big man. In the NBA now, you cannot build a team around a big man and expect to win games.
No, because the big men nowadays play like a shooting guard.
Like you see
They're
nowadays.
trying to be out in the wing shooting threes.
Exactly. You look at DeMarcus Cousins. You cannot build a team around DeMarcus Cousins. You need other people around him. You can't just have that single big man. You can, it's not like
That's what another argument I say why the NBA is losing talent.
it's not like
It's losing talent.
they're not losing. They're losing
It is.
talent.
Everybody wants to be a shooter now.
in certain
The
positions.
post-game element of basketball is dying.
Yeah, you
It's
know
gone.
what, Terrence?
It's gone.
He's right.
In certain positions, they're losing talent. Okay, I can't say in all. Listen, the point guard and shooting guard positions obviously the strongest positions now.
Bro, in the NBA nowadays, the point guard is used as the offensive weapon when it comes to scoring. I can name you more than at least 5 teams where the point guard is the leading
I think
scorer
it's
of the team.
I think. Oh, I was gonna say more.
Yeah,
No, but
you
it's just
remember-
the NBA. It's changing and it's not going in the right path. It's losing its traditional aspect where the foundation of the game was built. The shooting guard and small forward, the shooters. You go out, you get a big man who could post up, dominate down low, and then the point guard who breaks down the offense. The whole game is changing. It's losing talent.
I have to agree with you on that one. We go back to the early 2000s, even the 90s. We had Stockton, you had Kidd, you had Nash. They weren't guys who were scorers.
But they
were guys who put up 12 points a game and put in 12 assists.
But
now you have guys like Russell Westbrook, a point guard who's dropping a
point guard who plays like a shooting guard.
You got to look at the era of basketball from then to now, even from
Why do you think that's
trace it back-
changing? Because the players are changing itself, and they're not as talented. They're playing differently.
The athleticism has increased since ever since from the 80s. You can trace it all the way back from the 80s to now. The
I didn't
athleticism
say
now.
nothing about these. I said the NBA was
in
in its
general.
prime between 95 and 2005.
Let me put it this way. Do you ever remember seeing a point guard shooting 20 shots a game?
No!
No. Point guards aren't meant to do that. And that's one thing that's been so changed in the game. It's been a lot of, you get bigger guys, and they're all playing out of position. Guys are launching up shots. Basketball back in the day used to be dominated in the middle. Always dominate in the middle. And now it's just a big change. Armand looking very amused by Big Ben's
Ben's got a haircut.
Has Ben got a haircut?
Ben
Ponytail?
got a-
Wait, I'm sorry. That was just.
Wait.
it
I'm
just-
sorry, Rob. It was
sorry,
such a
Rob. It was
great
shocking.
segment, too. Can you
It
actually cut
wasn't-
this? This is actually a really good segment.
This is a good segment.
Ben, why-
Let's keep talking. Just keep talking.
Oh my God.
I don't
Ben-
even remember what you just say. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
gosh.
I saw
I'm
Ben,
talking about
like,
how, like,
Oh my gosh.
back in our generation.
No, you're absolutely right.
Early generation, they were dominating, always dunking. That's what you saw, Shaquille O'Neal. You had your Yao Mings dominating.
But it's not even just Shaquille O'Neal. You
But it's
had
like-
David Robertson. You had Patrick Ewing. You had Charles Barkley. You had
know, it's like
more guys like that. Nowadays, you can name maybe two.
But
you're gonna say what? Dwight Howard?
No,
who would get
not even. Dwight. I can't say
destroyed
Dwight.
in the
I can't-
'90s.
but-
He'd be a mediocre subpar player in the '90s.
I know that, but it's like I said.
He would be a wimp in the 90s.
But it's
I'm
like I
just
said,
saying,
though,
the NBA's losing
like,
talent. That's
the,
all
like
I'm
the
saying.
talent in the big man wise is tremendously went down over the past few years. I can't even. Who can we say is the best center in the league now? DeMarcus Cousins. That's not.
No, I
That's-
have to say...
I can't even. Say,
Terrence.
like I just.
my,
What?
There's an overflux of great players at one position in the NBA, and that's the point guard position. Everywhere else, you can go to the small forward position. You could think of maybe 3. The shooting guard, maybe 6. The game's just changing. There's not.
If you want to talk right now, a man who's actually truly playing the way the big man position was always played, Andre Drummond at this point.
Actually,
a guy who's
Andre Drummond would be
DeAndre Jordan's another one too. 2 centers.
Yes.
Tyson Chandler. Those are your centers. Those are the men who
Tyson
always
Chandler,
played
that's
the way
arguable, though, but-
playing the way that centers.
I don't like Tyson Chandler.
Yeah,
I agree with the
best,
first 2 points.
Yeah, your best agreement was Andre Drummond because he's a.
The only difference between Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan is that
Andre Drummond
compared to the earlier big men in the late 90s, early 2000s, they don't have a post game offensively. Defensively, they're the best defensively post game defenders in the league. But I mean, they have the ability to dunk and stuff, but they can't post up and go to work on the block.
Yeah, like who's a good. Like who can we say is a great.
There is
Post-
none, Terrence.
post-
I'm just.
post center.
It's just
I can't-
how my argument is very relative. What I'm
I can't
talking
even- I
about.
can't
You
even-
could say Tim
Rob
Duncan,
agrees
but that
with me,
was
too.
back in the
Tim
day.
Duncan's not
He's
Tim
old.
Duncan
He's
anymore.
done at the end.
Yeah,
He's done now.
We
I
don't
can't really-
have that post game anymore.
Yeah, I can't really think. I can't really think of a center.
You don't have
When
the
I
post game
watched
anymore. You
Marcus
have
Aldridge-
point guards who act like shooting guards and are trying to be the number 1 primary weapon on the team, and then you have the big men who are trying to expand the game and become shooters.
But this
Look
certain
at
team.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
What's the point of having
making
a big
jump
man?
shots. Julius Randle, another big man. One thing I noticed, I was watching the Brooklyn Nets game Friday. When do you really see a big man like that going out on top, stealing the ball on top, and just going down lane?
Wait, who we talking about?
I'm
again?
talking Julius Randle. Seeing him play out of position, stealing the ball from on top of the key versus Brooklyn, and then taking it fully down court, dribbling it down court. When do you see a big man ever?
You know what I
DeMarcus
think?
Cousins.
You know
DeMarcus
what I
Cousins.
think is another problem with the NBA? I feel like coaching is not as critical as it was
It's not-
15 years ago. I feel like now players
Now
are
the
starting-
players are the coach.
Players, yeah, they're
Look at
player
LeBron
coach.
James when he was in
They
Miami
have-
Heat.
Not
Every-
even just the players.
like-
They're just not like the young, immature players. There's so many flaws in their game. They're all so much isolation. It's so much about me trying to make my opponent look like that I'm better than him. It's just the game. Everyone else is out on the wing. It's just very different. I don't think coaches. You can name only 2 coaches who actually impact the team.
Doc
Popovich and
Rivers.
Jackson.
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers is another one. I think
Doc
Doc
Rivers. He knows how to handle that
The
whole.
thing is, they're not present day coaches. They're old school coaches. They've been around. They've seen it all. They've been in the league 15 years or more. Coaching.
and that's where it starts from. Having a great coach.
Present day coaches. Look at Eric Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra not.
They're
Eric
not, as,
Spoelstra,
they're not
everybody-
demanding enough.
Everybody
That's the
puts him
problem.
on top on a pedestal.
He's not a
He
coach.
won the 2 championships. He made
No, he didn't win the 2
No, he didn't.
championships. LeBron
If
James
you
won
look
that
at it,
2
it was
championships.
LeBron,
Dwayne
Bosh,
Wade.
and Wade.
And
That's
Ray
the only
Allen.
reason why they made it. It
Ray
has
Allen.
nothing to do with Eric's coaching.
It really didn't though. You really think? Wait, hold on. I'm just sorry. You really think that during that finals though, Game 6 versus the Spurs, that Eric Spoelstra called, oh, Chris Bosh, if you miss it, Ray Allen, you're gonna go to the win. You're gonna shoot the 3. You know he didn't.
I'm sorry.
You know he didn't bring that
I
up.
just think the NBA is moving away from a team-oriented sport and it's becoming more like an isolated player sport with 5 players on a team on the court.
Do you think Steve Kerr is so great? It's true. Look at Steve Kerr.
I-
I'm another one. I didn't defend him whatsoever. I thought if Jackson was back last year, they could still have made it to the NBA Finals and won it. I don't think. No. Honestly, this Golden State team was good already.
Oh, I liked Mark Jackson as a coach. I think Mark Jackson was a great basketball coach. If it wasn't for Mark Jackson, everything Steve Kerr had that year, they won the finals, never would have happened because Mark Jackson built the foundation. He built that team.
He basically brought in those weapons to make that possible.
And then they fire him because what happened? Who they lose in the second round?
No, they didn't fire him because of that. Because of disagreements with management. They can never deal with him whatsoever. And that's always been a problem.
I think I could have came in that Golden State team and probably lead them to victory if I wanted to.
Seriously though, he actually expanded them.
Blatt from the Cavaliers. He did nothing last year. LeBron James was arguing half the time with him.
LeBron James.
Where
was the coaching in that? Because David Blatt wasn't doing nothing, especially in that finals. Though, who was there to help? Huh? He didn't have no.
You know what coach I actually like? He's kind of an old school coach, although he's very young. I mean, he's only. What's his face? Brad Stevens.
Oh, for the Celtics.
Brad Stevens is a very good coach. I feel like he's actually teaching the basketball players. He actually has like a mandate. You know, people are listening to him. You know, he's very critical. He's very the players listen to him.
When you look at that Celtics team, it's not just one.
He takes it serious. He doesn't let them do their own thing.
Look at the Celtics team. It's not just one player.
It's very team oriented.
You have maybe you can have up to 6-7 players in double digits though. Not even having they win games, not even 20 points. You have Isaiah Thomas coming off the bench. People argue that he should be a starter, but it's okay though. But
you know what's so special about Brad Stevens? When Stevens was brought in, Stevens was coaching Butler at the time, and we looked at it. Boston was in rebuilding mode, and they traded away all these players, got their draft picks, and look at it now. You have a guy who's so fresh in college, teaching the youngsters, and now he has youngsters coming straight up into the NBA. He's not going to have a hard time whatsoever. That's something that's a daily grind for him.
Boston's going to develop a system soon. They're going to be back to being a franchise soon.
I have to admit right now, I kind of don't want to end this segment, but we do have to. We've been talking for a while. Great segment, guys. This is our last segment for Lights Out Sports. We just brought to you guys our NBA segment. We talked about the losing teams right now in the NBA. What's going on, how the game has changed in all dimensions. We're seeing centers not truly playing the way they used to, guards not being the true guards they used to. But for Lights Out Sports, I'm your host, Rob Boncardo.
I'm your co-host, Omar Mario.
I'm Terrence Taylor.
And we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 12 o'clock.
You're listening to WICR.